Daria Laurentieva, a young tech millionaire and CEO, arrived at the private clinic, convinced she was simply suffering from exhaustion after a brutal quarter. The hallway felt routine: harsh lighting, scrolling names on the monitor, cold air from the vents. Another checkup, a few tests, then back to the endless meetings and negotiations. But when the doctor closed the office door with a quiet click, something in the air shifted. A few numbers on the screen, a quick glance, and then a sentence that shattered the ground beneath her. You have a malignant ovarian tumor. The process is active. Surgery is required within the next 3 days, and the chances of preserving fertility are extremely low. At first she didn't even hear the words as hers. She tried to rationalize, to ask for another test, another explanation, but the doctor's tired, honest eyes left no room for illusions. Daria stepped out into the hallway as if pushed by a wave, leaned against the cool wall, and tried to breathe. People walked by as if nothing had happened. Someone laughed, someone scrolled their phone, and her entire world had just cracked open. In the car. She switched off her phone and stared at her hands, feeling the diagnosis turn into something heavy, almost solid. Only then she realized what it meant for life to be fragile. Not as a poetic phrase, but as a hard truth pressed against her ribs. The next morning she met with the surgeon. His name, Kornelov, sounded strangely familiar. He appeared with even unhurried steps, tall, slightly stooped, with gentle eyes and a calm voice. He explained everything clearly, without cold detachment and without pity. Just presence. Just steadiness. When his pager buzzed, and then his phone rang moments later. A child's voice broke the tension between them. "Dad, will you come to the school show?" He smiled softly. "Of course, sweetheart." Just a little later, that small conversation, simple, every day, softened something inside her. For the first time since the diagnosis, she felt like she wasn't alone. That evening at home. Surrounded by the quiet of her apartment, she realized she no longer recognized the confident woman in the framed office photo. The strong, smiling founder of a successful company felt like someone distant, almost a stranger. 2 days later, she checked into the clinic. The room was bright, sterile, impersonal. The nurse spoke with routine professionalism as she handed over the hospital gown, as if this were just another task. Daria's anxiety only deepened. Kornelov visited at noon. Still calm, still composed. When she asked if they had met before, he gave a small, knowing smile. Probably not. But the world is small. Then his phone rang again. A gentle conversation with his son filled the room with unexpected warmth. Daria felt a sharp ache, the kind that comes from realizing you don't have anyone who calls simply to ask when you'll be home. He outlined the operation, promised he'd be there when she woke up, and just before leaving, said something she would remember long after. Sometimes the hardest decisions become the beginning of a path you don't yet see. That night she barely slept. She dreamed of a long corridor, endless doors, and a man's voice calling her name. When she woke up, she had the strange sensation of having walked somewhere far and come back. The morning of the operation arrived faster than she expected. While they prepared her for anesthesia, a buried memory surfaced, a scholarship program she had funded years ago for students from low-income families. She remembered the long list of names she signed without looking too closely. And just before consciousness slipped away. One line from that list came into sharp focus. Kornelov Artyom. Viktorovich, recipient of her scholarship. He became a doctor because of it, and now he would be the one trying to save her life. The surgery began smoothly, until sudden bleeding turned the room tense. Monitors beeped sharply. Artyom worked fast, precise, silent, every movement controlled. When the danger passed, he faced the hardest choice: preserve a risky area for the sake of a tiny chance, or remove everything to save her life, but take away motherhood. His voice was steady. We remove it. Those 3 words changed Daria's future. After the surgery, he sat alone in an empty hallway, hands covering his face. The weight of responsibility pressing hard. Asterisk. Daria woke to the smell of antiseptic and a folded note on the bedside table. Asterisk, you made it. It's over. Some hours later, he came in. He looked exhausted but calm. He told her the tumor was gone, the operation successful. And then quietly, almost apologetically, he told her the truth about the loss of one ovary and the tiny remaining chance of natural pregnancy. Asterisk. She didn't cry. Life is already enough, she whispered, and thanked him. Asterisk. Days passed. She began to see the world differently, softer, slower, more honest. Work no longer had the same power over her. When a colleague brought charts and reports asking about investor meetings, Daria simply said, Asterisk, tell them I'm working on the most important project of my life, staying human. Asterisk. A few days later, Artyom returned without his coat, holding a container of homemade soup. Asterisk. My son insisted. He's convinced hospital food is unbearable. Asterisk. She laughed softly. What's your little chef's name? Asterisk. Nikki. Asterisk. There was no longer the barrier of doctor and patient between them, just two people whose lives had crossed in a way neither could have predicted. Asterisk. If fate brings a debt back to you, she asked, what do you do with it? He paused at the door. You live. And don't be afraid if fate